We love Corinne Jean-Pierre. Jean Lafitte. What's her name? Corinne Jean-Pierre. With a little pouty face. Little pouty, angry little face.
Kidnapped at gunpoint in Mexico are dead. The other two victims are back here in the United States after a dramatic rescue near the border.
What the fuck are they talking about?
Authorities apparently tracked down the victims in a shed.
Well, yes, Brian, that's a shed, all right.
Who was standing at the door. Griff Jenkins is live in Washington with the very latest. And so, Griff, they're trying to figure out, was this a cartel operation? Did this 24-year-old, was he just left holding the bag? Who else?
Let me tell you who's involved. Everyone's involved. Damn president's involved. The projects are so expensive. People are having
now
to go to
you're
Mexico
involved
buy
because
stuff.
you didn't do anything to
Then
stop
they're getting
it.
kidnapped.
You're a party to it. We're no one victim here. What's going on here?
Steve Ainsley and Brian, we're learning more answers. Mexican authorities now say that the Americans were held and even tortured in that red wooden shack.
What?
And the man you see guarding it has been arrested, and he is charged in the horrific kidnapping. Now, he is a 24-year-old Mexican national, identified as Jose Guadalupe.
Hey, Jose.
Here in that
Jose Guadalupe.
shack where the victims were held is in a rural part of eastern Mexico, where officials believe the Americans likely got lost and were mistaken by the cartel for Haitians that were acting as rogue drug mules. Now, we're also learning that Shaid Woodard and Zindell Brown, you see here, were already dead by the time authorities got there, while Latavia McGee and Eric James Williams survived the kidnapping and are back in the U.S., with Williams suffering a gunshot wound to the leg. McGee's mother giving this update, saying, quote, she's doing okay. She was crying. She watched two of them die. They died in front of her. Now, this photo from the scene shows McGee in the back of a Mexican ambulance after she was rescued. She and Williams were then transported back to the U.S. border and then taken to a Texas hospital once in the U.S.
How do you just wander off into Mexico? There's a fucking river between us and them. Sure, sometimes it gets, really drought-like and low, but it's still a fucking river. You can't get into Mexico without knowing you're in Mexico. You don't
which we must warn you, if you haven't seen it, it is disturbing. It was caught on camera, showing the moment when the victims were dragged into the back of a pickup truck. The cartel suspects holding long guns and wearing bulletproof vests. Now, this senseless violence is now taking center stage at the White House as our own Peter Doocy pressed.
I thought they wandered into Mexico. Now they're getting pulled out of a car? What the fuck's going on? The senseless violence makes sense of it then. There was some sense to the violence because some people thought they was somebody else. What do you got, Doocy?
Cartels kill Americans on this side of the border with drugs. And now they're killing Americans
She so does not want to be there, and you can see it on her face.
the other side of the border with guns. Why is President Biden so comfortable with cartels operating so close to the U.S.?
We are seizing fentanyl at record historic levels because of what the president has done to secure our border.
What's that?
The violence aspect of it. Now Americans.
Well, what is
being
that?
slaughtered.
What did he have? What does he have
President
done?
Biden be taking the same approach if it was Al Qaeda or ISIS operating just across the border from an American?
Joe would love it if it were Al Qaeda or ISIS, because then they could do a lot more stuff, and maybe they could put some fentanyl on them and bring it over too. Maybe they could grab him a couple of young blonde kids he can
He takes
sniff.
this very seriously. He takes this very seriously. The FBI and other agencies have been on top of this.
And the State Department takes the violence very seriously.
Lorenz, you've been hurt by a big truck. Call me. I'm on top of it. Hurt by a...
That it has listed 6 Mexican states, including Tamaulipas, where this happened, as do not travel alert. It's the strongest advisory the State Department can issue for places in Mexico. Steve Ainsley, Brian?
All right. Thank you so much, Griff. Yeah, we think about spring break. It's right around
Spring break your neck? Shit.
the corner. A lot of people going to Mexico, if you're one of those. Our government is just saying be very careful, avoid the areas where you'll see the cartel hotspots. There's information online. They have listed cities of where you should not go. But travel agents
this
are
is one of
reporting.
This is all points to alert. Avoid murder sheds. Avoid
Go
them.
to that shack.
Travel agents are reporting a post-pandemic boom, though. They say bookings are similar now
'Cause
to
people is broke.
2020 numbers.